This government, this present administration, rose to power on the back of protests. The incumbent president was a protester himself, and we have pictures. He's an hypocrite. Sadness. It could have been avoided. It could have been handled better. So many things, mixed feelings, the wanton destruction of lives and property, the response of the law enforcement in a very heavy-handed way to protesters. The discovery that some of our leaders or lawmakers or people who were elected into government were actually dipping their hands into the till. I think it was the NSARS that made us know that a lot of these so-called palliatives that were supposed to be given to the people were hijacked by some of the leaders, and they were being rebranded as birthday gifts, or I'm going to share this on my birthday, what rightfully belongs to the people. That's sad. It's a very low point in our political history. And of course it culminated on what happened on the 20th of October at the Lekki toll gate. I think it put Nigeria in a very bad light around the world. No, I don't think so. What we had was relabeling. If we want deep-rooted reforms, the police are human beings. They're Nigerians first and foremost. Even though it can be argued that the Nigerian police force, or the remnants of what the British left for us, was not actually formed for Nigerians. It was a colonial force. It was a tool by the colonial government to enforce the expansionist policy of the British Empire. It was a child of expediency. The British had to leave. They had to hand over to the locals. For us to have total reforms, we have to go back to the basics and examine the institution. There has to be retraining. There has to be a change in the mindset. The policemen themselves are not even enjoying, so to speak, what they're doing. Maybe a few. Look at the average policeman. Does he look happy? He looks disgruntled on the streets. His uniform is not sharp. His shoes are torn. You just don't dish out assault rifles to policemen to make them feel empowered. So we will get the kind of police force we want when we are ready, by deepening the institution, carrying out institutional reforms, caring more about the welfare of the ordinary policeman, not just of the police officer. The government needs to look inwards and be sincere if it wants to carry out these reforms. Laws are not covering Nigeria. We have beautiful laws, probably one of the best in the world, if not in Africa. But implementation has always been the issue with our laws. Have you seen any difference between last year and this year at the checkpoints? I haven't. I move around Abuja, they come out like bees as soon as it's like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Go near the mosque, central mosque, we'll say they're all everywhere, swarming like bees at night, literally asking you for money. So nothing has changed. What about their living quarters? What have we done? Have you seen their barracks? Has it changed? So why would anybody want to lay down their lives for their country? Apart from Lagos State, where we've been following the NSARS and panel, who have put their mouth where their money is by actually giving out checks. Every other one has not lived up. Every other panel of inquiry, so to speak, has not lived up to expectations. The wheels of justice may grind slowly in Nigeria, but they do surely grind. Are we getting the kind of justice we want? No, so far from it. The courts try. A few bizarre judgments here and there. On the average, the courts do try. You must remember that justice must not just be done, must be seen to be manifestly done. And that's one area which you may be able to fault what's been happening, especially when we tie it down to the NSAS protests. And you can see the systematic way in which the protesters showed their annoyance, especially towards the judiciary and law enforcement. That very beautiful and historic building in Lagos Island, the High Court of Justice, was destroyed beyond repair. People trying to set prisoners free in the prisons. It's a total disgruntlement towards law enforcement, towards the justice system, towards policing, and people are just saying, disgruntled. And you also saw how they also reacted towards some of our lawmakers, or former lawmakers, going after the senators or National Assembly members, burning down their homes. I think we all need to look inwards for we not to have a reoccurrence. If we had looked inwards and we had addressed some of these issues, maybe the government wouldn't be so frantic in issuing announcements and proclamations and say, there should be no remembrance, there should be no NSAS. It shows that the government is afraid of its own shadow because they haven't done the rightful thing. The behavior, the body language of this administration has always been of one that's afraid of his own shadow. They've always been. It's systematic, it's characteristic, and the various examples. Say anything against this administration and you become an enemy of that administration. They come after you, break down your doors in the middle of the night, arrest you. How can an actor who is distributing bread to people nature become a threat to the state? Isn't that ridiculous for Chimotalo to be arrested because he's wearing colors that seem to be sympathetic towards a dream? It's a dream. It's in his mind. You can't defeat a dream. You cannot. You can change his mind, but you can't defeat a dream by arresting him. You're only making the dream more popular. And that's why I said I'm not wearing anything out of the ordinary. I'm wearing a rising sun. You make people become more ingenious and more popular. You can't stamp out an ideology by arrests and hurling people into cells and this. Whatever happened to freedom of expression? It's a constitutional right. He's an artist. He has an artistic right to expression. The government has no such powers. The police has no such powers. This government, this present administration, rose to power on the back of protests. The incumbent president was a protester himself. And we have pictures. He's an hypocrite. We have pictures to prove it. Been marching on the streets of Lagos and Abuja with pro-democrats. So he gets into the presidential villa now and then tries to shut down the door of protest against everybody. Then that is hypocritical. And it must be said to his face. He's an hypocrite. There's no two words about it. If you have a better word, let me know. He is an hypocrite. He rose to power on the back of protests. Everybody demonstrating. If the president before him had muzzled down on him like he is now, he wouldn't be president. We should not forget that. We should keep on talking, keep on exposing them. You see, the use of new technologies has changed the game, and that's why we've been clamoring for electronic voting, electronic transmission, because they're all a game changer. Just like the PVC changed the game for President Muhammadu Buhari. New technologies, mobile phones, use of Twitter, sadly been banned, but we still get around it with VPN, which is what they don't like really, because they're bullies. So we have the good, the bad, the ugly there. What we really don't want is the bad and the ugly ones staining the good ones. And so we should all be watchdogs, in putting these things out. It's not just Nigerian police. Everywhere in the world, the police tend to become heavy-handed. It's a heady mixture, when you carry a gun and you can just fling someone into cell, and you behave as if you're above the law. The most dangerous people are people who are in charge of authority, because you must question from time to time, and they don't like you to question, and we must not keep quiet.